Welcome, everyone. So, most of you have probably had more than a few conversations with clients, friends, family members who are currently renting. They want to buy, but still haven't made the move. Today, I'd like to show you why they hesitate and what that wait could cost them. And finally, an honest tool, a real honest tool that helps close that gap in about 5 minutes on your own website. Okay? Super excited to introduce the newest addition to our Calculator Hub, which is a suite of tools you can easily embed on your website. You can also sponsor these co-branded version that you can post on your real estate partner's website. Yeah, let's get started. Now, I did a bit of research, and this is probably the single most important number in the Canadian housing. According to Stats Canada, home buyers under 35, they had a median net worth of $457,000 compared to renters at 44,000. That's 10 to 1 ratio. Later in life, by age 55 to 64, that gap actually grows to be nearly 30 to 1. Of course, buying is not for everyone, but the numbers show that home buyers or home ownerships has historically been one of the strongest drivers for long-term wealth. Most renters right now only compare today's rent and mortgage payments. Unfortunately, it's not the bigger picture. And this is where we come in, where we help them see the bigger picture. When they see the bigger picture, the question changes from should I buy to how do I buy? The market is full of waiting buyers. 54% of renters say that they plan to buy. So why are they not buying? They're not buying because 40% are waiting for the prices to drop, 29% are waiting for lower rates, and 37 say that down payment is the biggest barrier. What's important here is that they're not saying no. They're not saying no to home ownership. They're just saying, prove it to me. Prove to me that the numbers can work. And that's exactly the kind of conversations that our new tool will generate. So let's talk about why now is a good time. Why have this conversation now? Rents have declined for 21 months straight. This means renters having some room to breathe, save for down payment. Borrowing costs are stabilized in a way. The last time Bank of Canada increased its rates, guess when? July 2023. Since then, we had 9 rate cuts, lots of holds. And also we have first-time home buyers insured 30-year mortgages, which brings down the payments. Also, at the same time, condo prices are nearly historically low. In some markets like GTA, for example, it's 9.1% decreased in just Q1. Also, CMAC says in their survey that the confidence is coming back, it's returning. And the concerns about monthly payments actually have dropped from 59%, 53%, sorry, this Zoom window is blocking my own view, 53% to 39%. Now let's talk about objections. So I figured out there's about 4 or 5 objections, and it's mainly around I can't save a down payment. I can't afford the monthly payments. I'll wait for prices to drop. And I probably won't qualify for mortgage. Now, you can't talk someone out of these fears, but you can show the math. And that's why we've developed this new tool. Show them, for example, under down payment, show them the real minimum down payment, which is 5% on the first 500,000, $25,000. Most people imagine it's 20%. It's not true. When they say, I can't afford the payments, show them a comparison, a side-by-side monthly payment. And maybe even add rental income. So if they're considering buying a property with a basement suite, maybe add that rental income to show them what it looks like when you offset that cost. When they want to wait for prices to drop, show them the equity they could have built or what waiting actually cost them over 5, 10 years. And then when they say, I can't afford the mortgage, well, start with the entry property. You don't have to buy the dream home right away. Connect them with your mortgage broker partner. Show them what it costs to start with entry property. Now, I'm going to walk you through all these tools today, but I want to kind of jump a little bit ahead. I want to tell you how you benefit out of the new rent or buy calculator, which I haven't shown you yet. So this is supposed to come afterwards, but I'll just do it now. You can easily add it to your website because reports can generate leads. Of course, once you have it on your website, show it to your renter clients. Have them do it themselves. The tool is amazingly, surprisingly easy to configure. Tell your realtor partners, if you're a mortgage broker, put it on your website, send a link to your realtor partner and say, hey, this tool will help you have that conversation with the next renter. And then our final top most amazing thing you can do with the tool is you can get it co-branded. That means you can actually generate a nice co-branded embed code that you can offer to a realtor partner to put on their website. And David is asking a good question. Are we able to use this slideshow in our marketing? I will send you this slideshow with all the stats and the sources that I found. I hope that helps, David. The other way you can get in touch with us is actually this QR code. So I put it up here in case. I'll bring it back later, but this takes you to a meeting link that you can book a demo, talk about how it works, pricing. If you're a team with lots of agents, use this QR code. And for now, you can just bring it up on your browser with your phone. You don't have to actually book anything in case you get super interested and you want to book something. But I'll show this QR code afterwards. Let's jump to rent versus buy calculator. And for that, I'll just switch screens here. And I have an example installation on our website to show you. Ta-da! If you have not seen it yet, it's been out for a few days. Here it is, the rent or buy calculator. Okay, now the calculator hub, you can see right next to it, is actually a suite of tools that's embedded on your website. You can see it's embedded on our website. It's seamlessly embedded. It's not a pop-up. It's not another URL people have to go to. It's branded to your website, sitting in your website. And let's go to the rent or buy. Right off the bat, you'll see there's two sides. There's the rent scenario and the buy scenario. Surprisingly, how easy you can put the numbers in. All you need is put in the rent, and it automatically calculates your monthly expenses. For example, let's actually do a comparison of rent is 2,500. Boom. Customizations are here. You can actually customize those numbers. On the buy side, you put in the purchase price, automatically calculates your down payment for you. That's the minimum down payment. Most renters wouldn't know how much down payment is required, so this tool shows it to them. Once you put in some more information here, for example, how much money you have currently and location for purchase because you want actual closing cost, you have your assumptions. These are very important. We're going to get back to them. But the tool automatically calculates and tells you what is better. In this case, buying is better. But buying is not better all the time. For example, the first 3 years, renting is better. Your financial position for rent is better off. But then after 5 years, even 4 years now, you can see your savings. You can easily show a client that after 10 years, you're ahead $187,000. with just those numbers that I showed you. If they don't believe you, well, this is the math. You prove it to them with true cost. And let's just get into it here. I'm just going to show it side by side. For example, for rent, this is your rent cost. It assumes that rent is increasing 2.1%. That's one of our assumptions you can configure. The expenses on rent, your true cost is 350. On the buy side, the interest you pay on that mortgage, and by the way, this interest rate can be modified. It's part of our assumptions. The home expenses, including property tax, everything, including repairs even, is built in. Comes up to be 339. Less cost. Interesting. And then further down, what would happen if you didn't put that down payment towards the house, you actually invested it? Because obviously, we could have easily said, whatever down payment you have right now, let's just keep it in the bank, in the checking account, and forget about it. We could have said that. But that wouldn't be really good comparison because we would assume that the renter is a savvy investor as well. So what if they do go and invest it at, say, one of our assumptions at 5% annual interest, right? We want to assume that. We don't want someone to object and say, yeah, I can invest it in stocks. Yeah, okay, what's the investment return on that? Let's plug it in and see. Okay, so let's go further down on the red side. That's your profit on your investment. On the buy side, yes, that's where the money comes in, the equity gained, the both from increasing, both from the appreciation, and I set it to be a modest 2.3%, as well as paying off that balance, that principal through your mortgage payment. So that's your total equity gain. Your initial down payment was 25,000. And then at the end, you have your final position, because this is where we want to take the investment value on the rent side minus all the rent costs. We get a financial position. This is a negative 230, 300K. And on the buy side, same thing. We want to take your home equity, all the costs that you had, the true cost, which is interest, property expenses like property taxes, repairs, condo fees, it's a condo, minus the original closing cost. Don't forget about that. There is closing cost. So we want to make sure that whatever you're left with is actually true numbers. So we got to consider everything, including closing costs, including selling the property. One thing that drives me crazy is about these tools out there that show, oh, this is how much home equity you have now after 10 years. And the smart renter says, well, hold on. There's that selling cost. There's all those expenses that I've paid. There's that original closing cost that I put in. There's the interest on the mortgage. Like, please consider those. And this tool, honestly, it's like we went super deep. We didn't want to miss anything. We didn't want to have a renter come back and say, "Oh, you forgot about that." So this is why it's not always a positive number. You lose in both cases, except which one do you lose less? All right, Darren asking a good question. What percentage are you using commission on sale? All right, it's time I show you the assumptions. Here we have assumptions. I'm using, to answer your question, Darren, I'm using 5%, not inclusive of HST, but that's a good point. Thank you for pointing it out. We will add HST in it. This is going to say selling cost plus HST in a few days, promise. But here's the assumptions, and you can actually edit them right on the tool, as well as configure these numbers to be defaults. So in your admin dashboard in the Bandigi portal, you can deploy this calculator on your website, and there are some defaults, and you can set it up to be perfectly what you want it to be let's see what's included. Annual rent increase. We're going to assume that every year the rent is going to increase. So that rent you entered in originally is not the final value. Every year it goes up. Your annual investment return, you can set it up here. That's probably an average return over the next 5, 10 years. We also consider inflation rate because all these costs I'm putting in, insurance, utilities, parking, other expenses, we're going to assume that it's going to get more expensive over time, both on the rent side and on the buy side, the eco. So that's your inflation rate. On the buy side, here's the assumptions. 2.3% home appreciation. Of course, in your market, you can increase, decrease. The mortgage rate itself, I just use Bank of Canada, and 25-year or 30-year amortizations, up to you. Here's your selling cost, and we're going to soon change it to selling cost plus HST, including legal fees. Let's look at the closing cost. So it automatically generates them. You can move the slider. You can see actually all these numbers change. But let's open it up if you want to customize it. Includes land transfer taxes, the taxes on mortgage, and then you can configure the default legal fees too. On the expense side, it calculates mortgage payments, figures out location-specific property taxes, but you can always overwrite them with actual numbers. So heating cost, you can see it's 150. That's just for house. And then I do a 0.5% of repairs, which is 2,500 in this case. There's always repairs. Like the other day, our AC unit broke down. It's been hot for like 3 days here, and I'm still waiting for the AC guy to come by. But there is cost to ownership, and we don't want to exclude that. And then, of course, some other expenses you can put in. The other thing we built here, for example, let's say you want to move this up to 600,000. Your down payment is 35, that's the minimum, plus you have a closing cost. And you want to, if you have these funds to pay, that means you have this cash in hand. So there's an automatic match down payment closing cost built in here, which automatically assumes you have that money ready to go, investing at the annual return rate. Here's where it gets fun. Rental income. You can actually have the slider here if there's a basement suite, and you can show the client exactly. Currently they're renting at, let's say, at 3,000, and it's a condo, so they have 2 cars, so they're paying another $150 for parking fees. So their cost is about 3,300. Now they're considering let's say $750,000 property, which requires $50,000 down payment. Let's match this as well. In Toronto, this is what roughly the monthly expenses are, closing cost, and they're going to rent out the basement for 2,500. Or let's say 2,000, maybe 2,500 is a little bit too high. This is what their monthly cost will look like. It's very similar. I'm hoping all these numbers are good enough, except for maybe the mortgage rate should be lower. Let's say 4.25. And then let's take a look at 10 years. Wow. 5 years. I'm ahead 176K. That's assuming you have this down payment, right? That's really the barrier here. And of course, income to get qualified. Okay, so let's go. We walk through this together. I want to show you what the reports look like. Perhaps before I show the report, you can see the break-even graph here. The blue is owning the rent. This is financial position. It's not cost or profit. Now this is your cost. You can see rent cost just increases. Ownership cost declines because of that later in cycle interest where you pay off more of your balance. And this is how home equity versus investment. Of course, you got your appreciation, you got your balance payment, and you are technically investing the bank's money to get that appreciation even scaled up. Whereas here with the investment, it's just compounding. Just compounding is good, but it's not as good as compounding on higher numbers. And then finally, let me show you the report. The report is actually a lead generator. Let's zoom out. When someone completes this, you get an email, they get an email, and soon all these details will actually flow into your CRM. So um, let's do one. I'm gonna pick someone from the chat here. For you, Darren, prepared for Darren. I can send it to myself or I can send it to Darren directly, but I'll just do me. Just put in my own stuff here, get the report and close that. And then I go to my emails. It's already here. Resume. You can see it's live, prepared for Darren 0 minutes ago. This is what the client will get as well as you with your email signature. And when you open up the report, this is how it looks. It's branded to you, right? Obviously, but it could also be co-branded. It could be a second profile here. If this is a sponsored tool that you are offering to a realtor partner, it will always be co-branded. So real estate agents on the call here, find yourself a sponsoring mortgage broker because this tool is incredible and you need it because every time you're having a conversation with a renter, you plug in these numbers, you show them what's out there and let them walk away with a report. All the details we put in, cost breakdowns, and then you got your home price appreciation. That's based on whatever you projected, equity in as many years as you wanted to analyze, and then some cool graphs, the same ones I showed you. And then, of course, your QR code everywhere to install your app, top and bottom. You can download a PDF, which is as nice, ready to be printed. All right, that's it. That's the rent or buy tool. So I'm gonna go through the chat and see what has sprung up here. I'll put up the QR code. If you're interested in this tool, whether you have it and you don't know how to add it to your website, whether you don't have it and you like to add it to your website, or you want to perhaps you're considering and sponsoring real estate agents, a team of real estate agents, an entire brokerage, use this QR code, book a call, and we'll see you there. I'm just going to go to the chat here and see what has come up. Are there any questions? Mike Wood, you said, why can't I see this rent or buy on my tool section? Mike, if you have the Pro Plus, you can just walk into your admin dashboard. I'll just show it to you how that works. If you have it already and you want to configure it, log into admin.bendeji.com. If you have a Canadian mortgage app or any other app that's provided by us, you can actually log into this dashboard. Just go there and check it out. admin.bendeji.com. And in your case, on the website calculators, you'll just have to go to your domain, calculator hub, and then chances are that it's sitting here and it's not used yet. And this is because when we develop new tools, we don't just put them on your website because that would not be cool. I mean, personally, I wouldn't like company adding tools to my website without me knowing. So we leave it here for you, up to you, where you want it. You want it to be on the first spot, you want it to be a little bit lower. You can come in here and configure that. And once you add it in, it'll be available on your website. Oh, okay, Darren, another point. I love these questions, Darren. You're amazing. Maybe we should have called before this webinar. Okay, so Darren mentioned something very, very smart. Whenever you sell your investment, you obviously have to think about taxes, capital gains, or whatnot. We thought about that and we said, we're going to set it to be zero. I, I'm actually not even sure 100% that's the case all the time, but I know for sure if it's a tax-free savings account, it's going to be zero. We could perhaps add a new assumption there that shows a percentage for the investment selling cost. So maybe we can do that, or we could figure out the marginal tax and automatically uh, subtract capital gains. I think I'm actually going to go that route because I've tried this tool myself on an investment property, which is a okay. This is outside of the webinar, but this is something I tried. I said, okay, and let's just throw in some numbers. It's not actual numbers. Let's say we got $100,000, just $100,000 cash. We're not renting, so everything is zero. But we have this money, so we want to say, is it better to invest it in stocks and let's say 12% annual investment? Or should I use the same funds, let's say 80,000, purchase maybe an Airbnb property? Uh, let's do this. 100,000, 20%. I'm going to use the same ones. And we're going to collect a rental income of, I don't know, downtown property, high income, maybe 6,500. Give us a cash flow of 3,500. And what about cleaning fees and a bunch of other fees? So all these a little bit heightened. Let's do $1,000. So four cleanings per month. Let's say 150, $600 in cleaning fees. That's the only thing I know about Airbnb, by the way. I don't know anything else. But this is the kind of monthly cash flow. And then one thing I was considering is like, what about the taxes? So this is considered income, right? So we got to consider taxes. So I'm going to actually add that feature in um, and look at that. Maybe I didn't consider some other aspects, but you can use the tool in that way as well, which I found amazing. Okay, so Joe is asking some account questions. Place to rewatch. Candice, we will have this recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube channel under one of our playlists called What's New. It's going to be there. I told you it's going to be a short one. Thank you everyone for joining. Have yourself a great rest of the week.